Hello, everybody. Scott Stafford. I'm actually here with Alastair. He's in the pharma industry. He's with ESMS Global. He's going to be talking a little bit about the pharma industry and how technology is making an incredible advantage for all the companies who are using it, and then also talk about his experience with Peeklogic. Welcome, Alastair. And why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do at ESMS Global?
Okay, thanks very much, Scott. I'm pleased to be with you today. At ESMS Global, we look after emergency responses for clinical trials. We look after about 330 trials
Wow,
uh,
that's a lot of trials.
globally. Yeah, we can handle 80 languages. We look after trials from around 40 countries. Um, Largely over the phone, and we have a good solid group of clinicians, toxicologists who can tell us what to do when things go wrong for a patient on a trial. So a patient on a trial may be on the real drug, they may be on the placebo. We don't know, but our job would be to help resolve any issues where there may be contraindications. The patient may be in the emergency room. Uh, and the treating clinician may want some advice about the trial that they're on. And so that's what we do. We're available 24/7, 365 days a year.
Oh, wow.
And as I say, in many languages and many countries. So we're there really to provide a source of safety in a highly regulated industry, as you know.
Yeah, that's incredible. You guys are frontline, right, on all the different pharma research that's being done. Now, you reached out to Peeklogic. Can you tell me a little bit about the solution you were looking for them to develop and why it was going to make a difference in your company?
Yeah, well, we use a quality system that manages all our documents. It manages our trials. It manages our training. It
Right.
manages all our inquiries. So it's a one size fits all. And as people who use Salesforce will know, I think Peaklogic say the problem with Salesforce is not what it can't do; it's what it can do. You're
Right.
left with a lot of choices and a lot of options. So while we use something that you could broadly call off the shelf. I know in the customer base in which we sit with that supplier that we probably do more customization than all the other clients put together. And
Right.
for that customization, a lot of that we use Peaklogic.
Right.
So why did we go for Peaklogic? Well, we went through a few developers, and the good ones stick. And when we got to Peaklogic, we've stopped. And so
I
um,
love it.
they've done us a really good job, and they continue to do so. They are flexible, they're available. They've got some very bright individuals, and one thing I'm waiting for them to say is no, we can't do that. So they've done everything we've asked them to do so far. In spite of having to say, they go away and think about it. And I don't have problems with productivity or accountability. I put stuff on Trello, they do it, I have a look at it, we test it, we go
Oh,
back, we revise it,
that's great.
and so it works really how you would really want it to work. And they're not a liability; they're a complete asset to us, and they sit alongside the software and get it to do exactly what we wanted to do. So dirty word in our company is workarounds. We hate them, and we really don't have any at the moment. I don't think so, and part of that is because of Peak Logic. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, when you said that you guys use Trello, is there any other software? I imagine that you need to communicate back and forth. Your time zones might be a little bit different. What do you guys use, and how responsive has Peaklogic's team been when you had like an issue?
Oh no, they're very responsive. I mean, rather sadly, we use Skype. All right, I do.
Okay.
I'm a bit old-fashioned, and as you may know, Skype's about to be retired, and so we'll have to move on to something else like Teams.
Slack.
But
You're going to move to Slack.
you
We don't know.
but, but in terms of talking to each other, we use Skype at the moment. We'll probably move to Teams.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I don't feel the need to put this whole thing through an entire project management system. What we do is incredibly agile, and
Right.
my users will come back to me and say, well, we don't like this, we don't like that, we prefer this, we prefer that, can we have that? And they get it. And the great thing about that is that giving users what they want and giving them it quickly means that they then become quite demanding, and so they get what they want, and they then encourages enormous levels of buy-in to the system. So because they've designed some of it themselves, it is their system. There's a massive you know ownership benefit in that. I've got to be honest, I don't do very much training on the system. I just don't give very much because it's quite intuitive. In fact, it's
Right.
very intuitive. And they've bought into it. They'll find out, and if they do struggle, then they'll ask, and they'll come back to me. So it works really well for us. Yeah.
I want to hear from you as a professional that's representing a major pharmaceutical development company, right? You're making sure that the stuff moves forward. What do you think about Peeklogic? Would you recommend them? How has your whole experience been?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean,
I
I
love it.
think I've used. I've been around for quite a while. Built our first servers in 1996. So I've been around a while. I've developed a few systems, and I have to say, they're absolutely up there
Oh,
with the
great.
best in terms of development. Very easy to manage, very easy to work with, very bright, very capable, and it's cast iron software. It's not buggy. It really works, and they make sure it does. So
Right.
yeah, I would thoroughly recommend them. Yeah,
I think that's
and they're
really,
very good value as well. Very good value indeed in my book. Yeah.
yeah, that's really important in your industry, right? Because you are making sure that those clinical trials move forward. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience. Is there anything else you think that is really important for anybody to know about the experience you're going to have when working with the Peaklogic team?
Not really. I mean, the mistake you would make probably is not to go and talk to them. And I would thoroughly recommend that. We don't. There's no language barrier. These guys, when they first started, one or two of them, um, their English wasn't fantastic. Now it's brilliant. So they've worked really hard. I mean, they're very dedicated in every way. So no, I'm delighted with them. And as I say, I'll stick with them for as long as I'm around anyway. So
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alastair, and thank you so much, ESMS Global, right, for keeping everything moving along on pharmaceutical trials. Bye.
it's a pleasure. Thank you, Scott. Okay, good to talk to you.